Hello, my name is Christopher Gardner, lead blogger at the MK Creative Media blog. And in our ongoing series, video series and interviews talking with some thought leaders in the worlds of social media, fundraising, outreach, we have the great pleasure of talking with Paul Jolly, president of Jumpstart Growth. And Paul's going to talk with us today about some of the work he does with Jumpstart Growth, and we're going to ask him some questions about how he sees the development of fundraising over the next few years. So Paul, it's a great pleasure to talk with you, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Paul, you started Jumpstart Growth about 5 years ago.
Yes.
I'd be curious maybe if you could tell us on which end of the history of the economic situation we were in when you started. And I'm curious, what were some of the needs or opportunities you saw that inspired you to start Jumpstart Growth?
Well, I had worked for a variety of nonprofit organizations, mostly small shops where I was the only fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able during all those years, 20 years, to set aside some of my time to work on building relationships with individual donors. But I've noticed that that's always been a challenge, and so I thought that I would help people in other similar organizations to strengthen their relationships with donors at the top of the giving pyramid. It's easy for a fundraiser to get lost in the details of putting together foundation proposals and appeal letters and planning events, and to lose sight of the donors that are most important to the organization. So that's what I help organizations do.
All right. When people contact you at Jumpstart Growth, what are some of the kind of consistent questions or issues that they bring to you?
Well, they want money, mostly. This
Um,
was a fundraising business. Mostly it's a desire to increase their revenue, but also a recognition that there's some potential, if they pay more attention to their donors, that they'll be able to generate
mhm.
uh,
So,
more income.
so they are cognizant that they really need help with this sort of project.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive in several ways.
Mm-hmm.
For many people, there's an avoidance or a reluctance to pick up the phone and call someone, and many people assume that their donors would prefer not to be bothered
Mm-hmm.
or too busy to talk to them. So I help them get over that anxiety or that discomfort, and help them to recognize that the people who invest in their organizations financially are likely to want to be more engaged in other ways as well.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you have found when you meet with your clients that you have to maybe introduce them to? I mean, I've talked with people in, say, social media and outreach or communications, and they often point out that when they meet with clients, the client is aware that they need a certain skill set or a certain set of skills that this person can bring to the table, but they often say, I have to introduce them to this other set of ideas I hadn't really thought about yet. And I was wondering if you had a similar experience where, when you meet with clients, you introduce them to some ideas or plans that they had not really considered until they met with you.
The most important idea is to forget about money when you're talking to donors. You really need to have an almost schizophrenic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
In one sense, you need to be very attentive to the income projections and how much you can raise for the organization
Mm-hmm.
to support the organization's work. On the other hand, when you're sitting down with a donor, you need to put all of that out of your head and simply focus on what the donor's priorities are. So, because there is a spiritual element for most donors, I would say, in in thinking through what they want to accomplish with their money, what they want their altruism to look like as it's manifested in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's similarly a spiritual dynamic in fundraising in facilitating that discovery, and that's something that a lot of organizations are just not cognizant of.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Now, we at MK Creative Media know that you're going to be rolling out a site upgrade to
Yes.
jumpstartgrowth.com,
Uh-huh.
kind of a relaunch in 2013.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could share anything you'd like with our audience about what its content might include, or what you're looking to expand. What are some of the goals you have for the new site?
Yes. Well, there's three things really. One is a blog that I'm launching.
Mm-hmm.
I've used a monthly newsletter using Constant Contact, and that's been very successful.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to focus on the blog on more concrete, tangible suggestions based on my work with individual clients. So whereas the newsletter is more abstract and philosophical and focuses on the big picture, the blog, which will be weekly, will focus more on the nuts and bolts of how organizations tackle their challenges. And I'm looking forward to that
Mm-hmm.
conversation with my clients about how to bring that to fruition. The second thing is I'm hoping to do some video interviews with my clients to ask them how they've overcome the challenges that they've run into in fundraising,
Mm-hmm.
and look forward to being on the other end of the camera where you're sitting now.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing is a reference library. Over the 5 years that I've worked as a consultant, I've collected a lot of materials that can be generalized to make them useful for a variety of organizations, and I'm looking forward to making those resources available to people that are scanning the web.
Mm-hmm. Are these resources that you've created or collected, a little of both?
What organizations that I've created,
Mm-hmm.
either for workshops or for particular clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then that'll be launched spring of 2013?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Gradually, over the months of January through March, I'll put up the reference library and the video interviews, and of course use Twitter to let people know about each of those additions to the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll certainly include links to that site as it stands now. I'm guessing the URL, the address, will not change.
That's right.
Anything like that? Okay, great. So we'll make sure our audience has that. So check it out.
Jumpstartgrowth.com.
Great. Well, Paul, I appreciate your time here now. We are going to come back and meet and talk about a few other questions, including some of the challenges indeed you faced talking with your clients. But I certainly appreciate you talking with us on the development of Jumpstart Growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christopher Gardner. I'm the lead blogger at MK Creative Media, and we've been talking with Paul Jolly of Jumpstart Growth, and we look forward to talking with him again. We will be talking about issues dealing with him and his clients and what might be in the future of fundraising, and we'll hope you'll join us for the second part of our interview. Thank you.